Once again, we're back, and it's Metro Melik in the house, People's Champ. What's the Haps Lansing? So excited to be here. I'm so excited that Austin was able to augment the schedule and come through to the Lansing Public Media Center on South Washington Avenue, where we do the dang thing. Cindy Kangas is in the house. What's up, Cindy? How you doing?
I'm so great.
Cool. So if anybody has paid any attention to anything that has been Lansing made for the past 6 years, they've seen your face.
Right.
So
I'm
thank
sorry.
you for that.
Yeah.
No, thanks. It was great. It was cool. It was most helpful. I think we provided a service. Whether or not people paid attention to it or not, well, we won't need to go down that road. Because some people
They liked
really
us when we were silly. I think those were the ones that got the most viewership. When it was you and I together acting foolish.
Right.
Yeah.
Or normal.
Normal. Our normal.
So thank you for that. Let's tell the people. Well, so we are going to talk about Ellie's Place. That's like a big part of why you're here.
Right.
But let's get people to know, who are you?
That's
What's
deep.
Like, well, you have an interesting story. I don't want to tell it.
Well, yeah.
How'd your parents meet?
Let's talk about, how my story as it pertains to Lansing, I guess.
Yeah.
I like to say that my Lansing story starts before I was born, because my parents came to Lansing to attend the Michigan School for the Blind, which is a pretty amazing little place that was over in the north side of Lansing, kind of, by Old Town-ish. And, a lot of visually impaired people went through the Michigan School for the Blind, and there are a lot of graduates that still live in the area. And it was
it was basically the one place in the state that they could send people.
Yeah. I mean, this is back when, they weren't how can I say this appropriately? But children without special abilities or people that needed certain services were not specifically part of the regular school district.
They weren't
mainstreamed.
Regular curriculum.
That's right.
Or even next to the regular curriculum.
That's right.
So they had to find a specific for their needs place to be.
Yeah. So
we've evolved,
thankfully. But again,
good things happened.
It's cool because it kind of created this little community here in the Lansing area, and there were a lot of great things going on there, a lot of great graduates that came out that are still a part of the Lansing community. So that's something to be proud of.
Some went off to be world touring.
Some went off to be Stevie Wonder,
So
no big deal.
That happened.
Yeah.
And then I think it's an apartment building now.
Yeah, I mean, there are different buildings, so different buildings are being used for different things.
One just recently became a renovated apartment complex, so that's cool to see. The history is still here in a physical sense,
right?
So that helps with the storytelling of the people in the area and young people and people that are new to the area. Like, hey, go over there. Stevie Wonder hung out here for a little while. He did? Lansing? Why? School for the Blind. You know how that starts when you can see something. So great history. So your parents met.
And then they got married and had children.
Did what parents do.
Yes. And so I grew up in Lansing, graduate of Lansing Eastern, and Lansing's always been close to my heart. Went to LCC, and I have always been here and always loved it. Raised my 4 kids here, and still hanging out, trying to tell everyone that I can how amazing it is.
How great Lansing is.
It's a
Love
great
Lansing. Go to Love Lansing, the group, and share your Love Lansing stories. Highly encouraging people to do that. It's not a place for advertisement, but to talk about things like this, like your parents met here because of this, that, and the other, and that's one of the reasons why you love Lansing.
Right.
Those are the stories that we would like to share with people. So you decided to stay in Lansing. Why?
Well, I think I grew up feeling as though I was somewhat of a caregiver. I think anyone that has, parents that they feel that, they have to look over or help out in some way, learn at an early age to be a caregiver. And right after I graduated high school, I had a son. And I had to make a decision that was pretty difficult. Did I want to, put him up for adoption, or and kind of go off and fulfill my dream, my young kid dream of becoming a dancer somewhere else, or did I want to stay here and raise him and start a family here? And that's exactly what I did. And I don't look back and regret for for 1 minute. I like to say that, growing up here, I kind of had an appreciation of all that Lansing had to offer, and I've watched it evolve. And then, as my children were growing up, we did a lot of staycations. As a family of 4, I'm sure you can imagine, well, Malik, as family of 4 kids, that's a lot of juggling. So we did a lot of staycations.
Juggling. I'm trying to convince Jesse to do more staycations as opposed to go-cations.
Right.
Because we have a wide range in the house.
Well, if you think about Michigan State here and all the museums and activities there and the state capitol, and, we have a Potter Park Zoo, and even the city of Lansing has the Turner Dodge House. I mean, there's so many amazing things to do in Lansing. I
put something about a park, going to take the kids to the park.
Yeah.
And this person, I wish that I was able to get more details, said that they drove from Flint to come to Lansing to visit our park system.
That's amazing.
That's 45 minutes, just at minimum, to go to a park.
If you think about even the river trails.
The river trail.
It's beautiful.
Is one of the,
Rotary Park now.
Rotary Park on the river trail.
That's right.
What? Kayaking, Rivertown Adventures, just there's many cool things.
Museums. There's so much to do. I wish that I could add more days into my calendar. But I feel like it was very important for me to give my kids this sense of roots. Before wings, there's roots. And so, I wanted them to really appreciate where they came from and all that there was to offer. And I wanted to teach them also to be good stewards of their community. And they are. I have one of the 4 that's still at home now, but my oldest 3 are off in the world adulting and loving where they live, and they're stewards of their communities as well. So
they were able to take that with them. That's a beautiful thing. So was your first job at like a fast food place, or
yes.
Did you? Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how the involvement was. Like, how did you get into the nonprofit world? Was it by accident? Was it purposeful? Were you seeking?
Oh, that's a great question. When I was younger, I really wanted to be a teacher, caregiver. Worked for Okemos Schools for, I don't know, probably 15 years, just teaching preschool, part of their kindergarten extended enrichment. I was there for quite some time, and we had a class reunion, and I planned a fundraiser for a classmate that recently died from cancer. And it was a big fundraiser. We raised quite a bit of money, and one of my classmates said, why are you a preschool teacher? You could touch the lives of children, but you could also help a nonprofit. You could do things on a larger scale. You could be, fundraising and planning special events that meant more to the community. And so I started kind of slowly. I started at Junior Achievement.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's right.
Junior Achievement is all about financial literacy and teaching kids, wants and needs, and balancing checkbooks and some of the skills that maybe they don't.
What? I got to get our kids into that.
You should. Well, they still have it. I'm sure it's virtually now, but that's been around since forever.
And here's the coincidence. We just had Amanda Paxton of the Financial Empowerment Center on. So it's kind of coincidence.
These are skills that, if you think about it, when you graduated high school, did you know about credit? I remember.
Oh my God, no.
My oldest son, when I dropped him off at college, I remember there was like this table there with people trying to get him to get a credit card, and I was like, what is this about? I remember
my first credit card. I'm like, I have how many $1,000s?
No, you don't.
Those
you
are
have
real
negative dollars now.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's tricky, but
it's tricky to rock around.
But that was my first taste of the nonprofit world, and I was there for quite some time and loved it. There's just there's a warm fuzzy. When you work for a nonprofit, you're giving back, you're doing something for a greater good, and it's hard not to be hooked. So I spent a lot of time there, and then when I wasn't a part of the nonprofit world, I was always a part of corporate responsibility for larger organizations. So I worked for a couple of organizations where I helped them set up their giving plans, and I helped them, vet grants and grant proposals that came to us. And even when I did that, there was still kind of this feeling in my stomach like, okay, it's great to teach people on the other side what they should be looking for and how to set those things up, but I still needed to be back where my hands were getting dirty, where I was a part of a mission. Yeah.
So then eventually we came to Ellie's place.
Right.
But before we do that, favorite food?
That's tough. I do like seafood. I like that. But if you were to ask me like my favorite just snack food, it would be like everything bagels and cream cheese just loaded up.
Bagels.
I am like a bread junkie. So you feed me a carb and I will follow you all day.
That's funny because I look like a bread junkie.
It's not.
You do not.
No, I'm telling you, it's a problem. It can be a problem. Give me a good bagel and I will follow you anywhere. But I wanted to say something really much classier than that. I love seafood, and I love high-end choices. And it's true, who doesn't love a good local restaurant or something? But, when I'm at home and I just need something to veg out on, it's usually, bread.
What is a favorite Lansing gem, GEM, that you are so glad to visit or participate in an activity? What would be that?
Well, I can tell you I was a former board member at Turner Dodge House, or I am a former board member, and I really enjoyed the Festival of Trees, because there were a lot of local businesses that would come and decorate their trees. And, the house itself is an icon, but you add these beautiful trees to it, and it's pretty amazing. And I'm currently a board member at Potter Park Zoo, so I would be remiss not to mention them and tell you, how I remember visiting the zoo when I was a kid and how it's, evolved into this this place that's very welcoming to all abilities, to everyone. They are working hard to be inclusive to everyone, and they also have, the Wonderland of Lights at the zoo that are great. A lot of my events my favorite events are very much holiday related.
That's cool. So let us take a pause. We are going to share a bit of important information for you at this time. And then we're going to come back after this important 60 seconds.
Okay.
My principal keeps telling me I'll be more comfortable at a new school. I feel like she's trying to get rid of me.
Once again, thank you for tuning in to What's the Haps Lansing. Metro Melik here. Across from the table is Cindy Kangas. Cindy Kangas, I forgot to bring my notes. I don't know your title of Ellie's place, but let's talk
I can tell you.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I'm the Director of Development at Ellie's place.
So you're still doing the fundraising thing?
Yes.
And
fundraising has changed a little bit. Before we get to Ellie's place, I would like to share, I'm also a member of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, and, you hear about small businesses that are struggling. Nonprofits are also, feeling COVID. People aren't giving as much. They're a little more cautious with their money, and so we've had to kind of figure out new ways to make sure that things are still happening at Ellie's Place, and proud to be a part of that.
It's an admirable situation to see how people are tapping into their creative juices and finding, and if they're not innovative ways, at least making that shift. You know, like, internet's been there, these, like, you know, picture-to-picture communication things has been there for a while, but how to incorporate that in the mix. And even video, like, it's been interesting. I and some of my colleagues have been talking about the importance of video, like video, right? It's so important, and I think there's a big reminder of that right now, how that you can use that as a tool and it can travel very far and very much communicate what you need to have, so your people can either learn about you as an organization, how to get your services, or learn about you as an organization in order for you to get the money. And a lot of times those go hand in hand. And in a place like Ellie's Place, you have that example where, you know, even a person that works there utilized their services and then, you know, ended up working there.
Right. All nonprofits have a mission.
Yeah.
And right now during COVID, it's important to not only share your mission, but how your mission, how you're seeing new things related to your mission during COVID. Ellie's Place is all about providing peer-to-peer bereavement support to children, teens, young adults, and their families. And when you think about COVID...
So let's just break that down.
Yeah.
So a terrible thing can happen where a child loses a parent.
Yeah. In Michigan, the ratio is 1 in 13 children will experience the death of a parent or a sibling before they turn 18. And that doesn't include, like, extended family, friends, other relatives, you know, neighbors.
So something that close in your home is a shift for anyone.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And, like, my heart pours out for the 2-year-old that gets in my car and goes, "Mommy, big hug."
Mm-hmm.
And that 13-minute drive home can be very difficult, but I know we get to go home and hug Mommy.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't probably be able to make that 13-minute drive in 13 minutes if we weren't able to get home and hug Mommy.
Yeah.
On my level, let alone what that would be. So Ellie's Place
started back in 1991 when Betsy and Woody Stover experienced the death of their daughter, Ellie. And their other children were grieving very differently from how they were as adults. And so, you know, they started this gem with meager beginnings in, you know, the basement of a church so that kids could, you know, walk through their grief together and get some tools to manage their grief. And it's just been this amazing legacy that, you know, almost 30 years later and 30,000 people later is still going because there is this need. Grief is isolating, you know, and you think about these kids, even if you think about going back to school and, you know, do I talk to my teacher about it, or what do I do if I need a moment, or do I want to be known as the kid whose mom died? When you think about grief, you know, the holidays are coming. You know, how am I going to celebrate a holiday or a special event without my special person?
Right.
It's tough.
And it's tough for anybody. So you have a situation where you're specific to the needs of young folk. And I think that's fantastic. And it doesn't cost them anything to participate.
That's right. We don't bill insurance. Well, you think about families who have experienced a death, you know, it's oftentimes a source of income. And we want to be sure that Ellie's Place is free and accessible to everyone. So there's never a charge. The families are welcome to come and stay at Ellie's Place and use services as long as they need to.
That's a very important detail, for as long as they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was heartwarming when a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, but I was able to visit the place as an outsider, not needing the services, but also interacting with some people that were utilizing the services at different levels, and how they interacted with what's in Ellie's Place, the building.
Yeah.
And that place is so warm and welcoming.
Right.
And the people, even though they're going through what they're going through, it's just an inviting place to experience.
Yeah, it's when you walk through, it doesn't look like a clinician's office or a psychologist's office. There are paintings on the wall, and it's very child-friendly. As it relates to COVID, our building is closed now through December, so we're doing things virtually. So we're really relying upon the social workers, the staff, the volunteers to bring Ellie's Place, this warm, fuzzy, safe place, to families virtually. And I know a lot of people talk about how they've transitioned and how they continue to serve people now that COVID has happened, and what the new normal may be. And ours is serving families virtually. COVID is isolating. So you think about families that have experienced a death throughout COVID. Maybe they didn't attend a funeral. Maybe they weren't able to be with their loved ones at the time of death. There are all of these new challenges that they may have been experiencing. And, since March, we've had over 100 calls from new families that need our services. So that really is very telling that people need that support, and they need to walk through their grief with their peers.
So this is one of those statements that I'm going to hope people receive with the respect that I mean it. This place, the need for this place will never go away. But I'm very thankful that this place is here and hopefully will never go away. So before we get to the end of the show, tell them the website so that they have to move to donate.
Yeah. So, there are multiple ways that you can support a nonprofit. First, we ask that you advocate. If you hear of a family that's in need of services, you tell them about Ellie's Place. But you can log on to our website, elliesplace.org, or you can follow us on social media. We even have a Pinterest page with lots of resources.
elesplace.org.
Correct. And we'd love for you to make a donation, but there are also a lot of resources there. There are ways that you can volunteer. There's a wish list there.
See why she's in the nonprofit world and I'm in the business world? I'm like, give them the money. They're like, yes, but there's resources. Like, give them the money.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. All nonprofits, they are fueled by donors that give their time, treasure, and talents. And I just want to share that there are multiple ways that you can support your favorite nonprofit. And we understand that, it's COVID, and so your jobs may have changed, or your income levels may have changed. Definitely. And we'd still love for you to be a part of Ellie's Place, even as an advocate. And share us.
So at least be able to share the name of the place, the web address, to somebody that if you hear they have a situation and then they can benefit from the services.
Right.
That at least, what do they need to know about Ellie's Place as we're getting towards the end of the show?
We are working virtually. So all of the families are virtual. But I do want people to understand that we also have school-based programs. So oftentimes we'll have school counselors or teachers call us and say that they have multiple children in one school that would like some services, but maybe they can't make it to Ellie's Place. And so we take Ellie's Place to them.
And what is your region?
Oh, well, we go throughout the Tri-County area. Okay. And so far we've had, over 30 calls from schools for programming this coming year. And that's huge, considering that most schools are virtual right now and they don't know where they're going to be. So not only are we providing services virtually to our families, but we're also providing services to schools.
And these things can be so sudden, so it's good to have in your pocket. It's not about me, but it just brought up a memory that I had where I worked with this young man who was, anytime it's tragic, but you think someone is on top of the world, graduating, has goals to go to college, has a girlfriend, had all the things where you're like, everything seems normal, and went and shot himself in the head, and we're like, what? And I wish I had known about this place then, because I'm a manager at a place, and like half the kids are still in high school, and the other ones just graduated from the same place. So I was like, what am I gonna do for these kids?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what?
we're seeing a lot
We gotta
more.
do something.
We're seeing a lot more death by suicide. A lot of deaths with opioid addictions. You know, oftentimes if you see these things in the news, you know, we're kind of the place where the families come as an, you know, after those things take place.
Yeah.
So it's broad. I would like to say
Yes.
that November is Grieving Child Awareness Month, and that Giving Tuesday, which is the Tuesday after Black Friday, is the day that a lot of nonprofits encourage and kick off their holiday campaigns. So I encourage you to, if it's on your heart, support grieving families, but if not, support your favorite nonprofit on Giving Tuesday, which is December 1st this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else that they need to know? Ellie's Place, elliesplace.org.
elliesplace.org. Again, social media is huge, so you'll be able to see more video content and, you know, book suggestions and positive affirmations and quotes and that sort of thing. But if you really want in-depth help, visit our website and then call us. That's what we're there for. You know, Ellie's Place. It's a pretty awesome place to be.
Cindy, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For being here. Austin, thank you for doing the thing. Lansing Public Media Center. This is Metro Melik, People's Champ. Thanks for tuning us in. Now we have enough where you can like binge watch it on a weekend. Like we got enough episodes where you can be like, boom.
Back to back. Yeah, I'll bring the bagels. Call me.
Back bagels. And like it's on YouTube, so if you have a smart TV, just turn it on the thing.
Yeah.
You don't even have to watch it on your device. It's all the places.
Man.
Do the thing.
What are you waiting for?
Come on.
Come
people,
on.
Share it. All right. Thank you.
I love it.